Hello guys, welcome back. I finally came across something that I wanted to talk about today. Something I wish more and more people would talk about is the ever increasing price of food that is completely getting out of hand, you know? And like everybody kind of just seems to gloss over the fact that all the prices of basic necessities are getting way too high. Yet these companies are posting record profits as if they'll cry and complain about all this inflation and minimum wage being too high, and that's why they charge you $20 for a hamburger. But then we'll also be posting record profits every single year, which is kind of ridiculous. I came across this guy who was talking about it, established context, and let's see what he has to say.
News about how much fast food prices have gone up over the recent years.
Well, it's not just fast food either. It's grocery store prices as well. Not even like 5 years ago, I could go to the grocery store, get a pack of chicken drumsticks, and it would have like a dozen fucking pieces in it, and it was like $8. Now I go to the same grocery store 5 years later, and it's double the price, $16 for that same pack of chicken drumsticks, which you're not going to tell me you can't tell me that's just inflation. Yeah, a little bit's probably inflation, don't get me wrong. But I think what's going on is these companies are also riding the coattails of inflation in order to gouge prices out of people.
Home to the dollar menu, prices at the Golden Arches leaving a bad taste in the mouth of consumers who just want value.
Some restaurants are continuing with price hikes, while
Chipotle keeps raising prices. Gym rats and millennials are still buying burritos. What the fuck? What is this, Wall Street? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so someone who's busy wants to buy a burrito. Shocker.
others are getting desperate with attempts to offer more deals in hopes of increasing traffic.
Yeah, this is another thing. So they'll offer, like, the original prices from, like, a couple years ago as a deal. But... come on, man. There's no way that people are seeing value in this. Obviously, you know, we're all lazy and we need to stop purchasing fast food. But like I said at the beginning of the video, it's not just McDonald's that keeps gouging us. It's like Superstore, Walmart, Sobeys, all of these grocery stores that have seemingly kind of just slowly monopolized the food market and gotten rid of any type of small business grocery stores, and now they're just gouging the fuck out of people.
Restaurants don't cut prices for fun. Did consumers essentially force your hand by being fed up?
Customers are telling us that they're really stretched.
Now, we all know inflation has been...
Yeah. That's because people are stretched. Even people that you would consider fairly well off would even consider that these prices are fucking ridiculous. Like, what's the price of a cheeseburger in... I'm just going to go... I live in Canada, so our prices are a bit higher, since our Prime Minister has completely ruined our economy, but that's a totally separate video. McDonald's Edmonton prices. Whoops. I'm not going to look at DoorDash or Uber Eats because the prices are obviously going to be a little bit more expensive because they also gouge you out of your prices. And here's another thing. I don't like this practice of not putting the prices underneath things. So, what happens if I click on it? See, where's the price? What is this? It's so fucking... It's just like the most scummy fucking bullshit I've ever seen. Like, why can't I get a price on this stuff if I... So the only time you can ever see prices is if you actually order it? Holy fuck, dude. Ridiculous. Okay, well, I guess we are going to use Uber Eats and stuff because McDonald's won't show me their prices. It's probably because they're ashamed of how much money they're actually charging for this fucking bullshit. So, okay, let's go to Uber Eats. How much is a fucking hamburger? I'm not putting my address in. Okay, so 20-piece chicken McNuggets, $15.29. And a Big Mac, just for the sandwich, is $7.37. This was like $4 not even fucking 3 years ago. And every single year I notice that these prices are getting more and more insane. Like, it's $13 for a fucking combo where you just get a burger, some shitty fucking fries, and a pop. That probably costs them maybe like $2 to actually produce. I don't know if that's like the actual price, but let's be real, they're making disgusting profit off this stuff. And at this point, like, just go to a restaurant and pay the extra $4 to get a real hamburger. Or, you know, obviously the best option would be to buy your own ground beef and make your own patties and cook your own burgers. But, like, if you're already planning to order out or go out to eat, why would you go to McDonald's? This is bullshit. $13 for a fucking Big Mac combo. $17 for a double quarter pounder value. And they call it extra value meal. Yeah. More like extra BS meal. Like, this is ridiculous. However, I'm surprised more and more people aren't talking about this. And it's not just McDonald's, like the grocery stores too.
Been rampant since the beginning of 2020 when the pandemic
Like, that curve. That's a bad curve.
happened.
Grocery prices, in some cases, are falling. Fast food prices are rising, and these CEOs, they know it. They're hearing these complaints.
Oh, they're getting rich
What's
as fuck,
really
bro.
going on here? I mean, are fast food companies trying to pull a fast one on us, price gouging under the cover of inflation?
Yes.
Fast food places in general, y'all better watch.
Yes, that is exactly what I think they're doing. They're taking advantage of what's going on in the world, which is affecting our economies, and they're just seeing an opportunity to make even more profit by taking advantage of a recession by pretending that it's hyperinflation.
You goddamn ass.
Is this just plain old corporate greed like many have claimed?
Yes.
Who told y'all was that good to be charging that much for y'all food?
Or is there more to
And like these fast food places, you would go there because it'd be fast and convenient. Now you go to McDonald's, you order your food, you're standing there for 20 to 30 fucking minutes. It's almost faster to go to a restaurant. It's ridiculous. So they're lowering the quality of the food and service. They are charging premium prices for their food, and they're also not paying their employees a livable wage and posting record profits every year. Seems a little suspicious, doesn't it, guys?
this story?
Fast food used to mean inexpensive.
Going viral,
Yeah.
the Big Mac meal priced at $18 at a Connecticut rest stop.
Well, in this video,
$18 fucking dollars for a Big Mac. There is no way. No way. That is fucking robbery.
I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it. Wikipedia defines price gouging as a pejorative term used to refer to the practice of increasing the prices of goods, services, or commodities to a level much higher than is considered reasonable or fair by some. This commonly applies to the price increases of basic necessities after natural disasters. Usually this event occurs after a demand or supply shock, like, say, a global pandemic. Harvard Business School says there's no rule for what qualifies as price gouging, but it's not an uncommon occurrence. For example, EpiPen costs and Uber price surges are both examples of price increases that,
Like I just pointed out, all these companies are doing it. They're all screwing the consumer and taking advantage of a bad situation with the economy and essentially screwing people out of their money. Like, I haven't actually covered this video yet, and I don't know if I will. But like in California, you got a billionaire couple who are like basically 2 years from being corpses, who are hoarding 5 times the amount of water than they need to, and they're trying to sell it back to people. Like this is what people should be talking about. This is, instead of like worrying about what gender or bathroom you're going to use, like these are real issues that are actually affecting average American and Canadian whatever people. Like, wake the fuck up, people.
have been considered unfair. But what's the difference between price gouging and inflation? While price gouging is often the result of a business decision, inflation is a general increase in the prices of goods and services.
Yeah, and you're not gonna make me believe for a second that in the span of 2 to 5 years, inflation has caused ingredients to making a Big Mac twice the price. No way.
Over time and is directly impacted by the market. And while 40 states across the country have laws in place to ban price gouging, there is currently no federal price gouging.
Well, it's harder to prove if it's price gouging if you're hiding under the veil of inflation. These companies are just pretending that it's getting more and more expensive for them to produce the food, and they're using inflation as a gray area to price gouge. It's just really that simple.
Prohibition. And this makes it a difficult thing to enforce because so many supply chains are nationwide. And as a result, states face heightened challenges when trying to protect consumers from price gouging. So in my opinion, price gouging is a rather nebulous concept. It often lacks clear-cut depictions, and it's not only a practical question, but also a moral one. However, with this fast food dilemma, it's not just about high prices here.
I wouldn't really call McDonald's price gouging a moral issue. Like, at the end of the day, technically, you don't need to eat fast food. In fact, you probably shouldn't be. My issue is the same tactics are being used by grocery stores. So what would be the better option, which is going to the grocery store and cooking at home, is also becoming much more difficult for average people to do because you're paying $40 for a pack of 4 burgers. It's $10 a fucking burger. You're paying $16 for a pack of chicken drumsticks that were $8 not even a couple of years ago.
It's also about prices that seem disconnected from costs and the actual products themselves. So whether specific fast food companies have engaged in price gouging is up for debate. What certainly isn't is how much prices have increased over the years. And the real question then becomes, is it justified? Finance Buzz released a staggering report on fast food prices over the last decade.
Bro. Fucking McDonald's is up here, way at the top. And they have the most dramatic increase over every other place. Bro, like, they are doubling Subway and Starbucks. And like I already thought a fucking coffee from Starbucks was grossly overpriced. I don't even go to Subway anymore because you're not gonna sell me a fucking sub combo for almost $20, and there's gonna be like 3 slivers of meat on it. That's another thing. I don't know if he's gonna bring it up in the video. They're increasing prices and slowly lowering the portion sizes as well. A Subway sandwich from when I was in like high school to now, there's like 90% less stuff on that sub. But it's also like 400 times the price. Or not 400, like 400%. Like, yeah, shut up. It's like $5 footlong used to be what we would call Subway. Now it's $20 footlong for a combo pretty much. No. And then they don't even put half the toppings on it anymore. It's getting out of hand.
Decade, and it showed some very interesting stats, claiming McDonald's is king when it comes to price hikes over the years, citing a 100% increase to their prices from 2014 to 2024. Now, to understand how we got here, let's just rewind for a second. Fast food in its early days was built on 2 core promises: speed and affordability. Now, with its initial success, it really started to become a symbol of American culture. What the food may have lacked in quality, it ultimately made up with cheaper prices and the convenience of getting it quick.
This looks like it's from the 90s, if not early 2000s. $1.43. I remember in the 90s, and I was still just a little kid back then, I could walk into a Wendy's with a single loonie, at $1, and I could walk out with a bacon hamburger. It was 89 cents. That same hamburger, $7 fucking now. 7 times the original price. I'm not that old. Like, it might sound like, oh, back in my day, the price of a hamburger was less than $1. Man, I barely passed 30, man. Like, in the span of like less than 2 decades, they're 7 times the price. What's it going to be in another 20 years? We keep allowing this to happen, you're going to be looking at paying $50 for a Big Mac.
Quickly. However, today, the same can't be said. It's not breaking news, but fast food is rarely fast anymore, and it's becoming pretty expensive for
awful.
what the quality is. Now, over the last 2 decades, rising costs have hit the industry hard. Real estate prices, minimum wage increases, and supply chain inefficiencies started driving up costs. Add to that the increase in costs of beef, chicken, potatoes, along with paper products, and suddenly the simple cheap burger wasn't so cheap.
Well, they have a solution here in Edmonton because the city of Edmonton made a bylaw that fast food places need to charge 25 cents. Well, it started at 10 cents for a bag, like the little shitty brown paper bags. It was 10 cents. You know what they've been doing? They've been increasing that by 5 cents every month or two. So it started out as an environmental bylaw, and now McDonald's is charging 35 cents per paper bag. You gonna try to tell me it costs 35 cents to produce one of those shitty little bags? I guarantee you it doesn't even cost a single cent. Multiply that based off their billions of sales. Man, they're getting rich. Like, it might not sound like a lot. Oh, it's 35 cents, whoop-de-doo, and it helps the environment. No, that money doesn't go to the environment. The 10 cents for the bylaw goes to helping the environment. The other 25 cents is pure profit for McDonald's.
To make anymore. These changes laid the groundwork for the price hikes that we're seeing today, but they only tell part of the story. What's happening now feels different, like something has fundamentally shifted.
Oh, I'm sorry, could you put her on, please?
Dude, this is a Wendy's restaurant.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Okay.
But I have to keep it real. It's not just the rise in costs that are part of doing business. It's also factors like increases to advertising spend, ballooning executive compensation packages, along with significant investments into technology, like mobile apps for these companies. Oh, and of course, stock buybacks, returning billions of dollars to shareholders. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at some of the numbers. According to the Federal Reserve's economic data, food away from home, which is the category that includes fast food, this rose roughly 28.5% over the last 5 years. But general overall inflation rose only 24%. Now, at a first glance, these price hikes might seem like a logical reaction to the rising costs of inflation. But
Well, yeah, and within reason, I could understand the increase of prices with the inflation and the economy going into the gutter. But it definitely seems more like they're doubling that cost by using inflation as a safety net to not be held accountable by the law. There's definitely some scummy shit going on in the background.
let's dig a bit deeper. While the cost of doing business has increased, profit margins at many major chains have held steady or even grown.
Yeah,
Take
record
McDonald's,
profits,
for
right?
instance. Despite facing higher expenses, their operating margins climbed to nearly 46% in 2023, up from around 41% in 2019. Now, that's not just covering costs, that's thriving. And if you don't think operating margin is the best indicator to decide this, let's look at their net profit margin. It's gone up from 28% right before the pandemic hit, all the way up to over 33% in 20.
Yeah, there it is. For everybody to see, plain as day. Oh, well, we have to increase the prices because we're struggling because of inflation, but also look at our record profits. Your profits have also doubled as the prices have, which is very suspicious.
2024. Now, this has led McDonald's to begin to take some drastic measures to try to convince customers they not only aren't being greedy, but also that they still can provide value with their menu. But more on that in a moment. This pattern isn't unique to McDonald's, though. Chipotle has reported record revenues fueled by menu price increases of nearly 15% over the last 2 years. In fact, during the making of this video, they just announced another 2% price increase to their menu, which brings the total number of price hikes to 7 times since 2021.
Now, I know most people aren't very good at math. I'm going to try to explain this as easily as I can. 2% of the current price. Okay? So what you do is you increase the price over time so that it gets to a point where 2% might not sound like a lot. But 2% on $12 is a lot more than 2% increase on, like, say, $5.
And Chipotle technically isn't fast food and is more in the category of fast casual dining, but they still are a part of that food away from home stat that I provided from the Federal Reserve. And so we can still learn a lot about their recent financial performance over the years. Chipotle's net margin is higher now than ever before and has been steadily climbing since the pandemic. However, the margins did tank before the pandemic due to foodborne illness issues the company was facing. But if we also look at their revenue and net income, that has also been rising steadily since the last quarter of 2020. And here's the kicker. Chipotle's former CEO, Brian Niccol, earned over $17 million in 2022 and over $22 million in 2023, including significant...
Like, is this really necessary amounts of money? For what? Scamming people? Great.
Bonuses tied to the company's profitability. This is over 1,300 times the median pay of a Chipotle worker. Now, whether you think the CEO is worth 1,300 times the average worker or not, it's clear that they are making more money now than ever before. And Chipotle also just announced in July that they were authorizing a $400 million stock buyback program, essentially funneling excess cash back to shareholders instead of, reinvesting it into operations or finding out ways to keep...
Yep, there it is. We're all getting gouged while they line their pockets. Fun, isn't it?
Price is stable. Additionally, Yum Brands, which owns Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut, instituted price hikes in 2023 and cited that it was a last resort option, while later that year clocking in a 21% increase in total revenue over its pre-pandemic earnings. Now, since then, executives at the company have authorized a $2 billion share repurchase program, returning...
And even, again, they have gouged us so much that now they can just spread the money back to all their shareholders rather than, maybe putting it into improving working conditions or increasing the quality of their products or the quality of service. No. These are just a bunch of old fucks who are about to go into retirement stinking filthy rich. And they're going to leave us all completely fucked.
$678 million to its shareholders. Now, there's no secret here that greater amounts of capital are being redirected to corporate level costs, such as...
It's basically just a rich person pissing contest to see who can have the biggest numbers. They don't need the money, but I swear they're all just flexing on each other on how badly they can screw the entire country out of as much money as possible so that they can all flex on each other. It needs to stop. Like, why isn't the government doing anything about this? Well, I'll tell you why the government's not doing anything about it. It's because people are too concerned with other minute things that really don't affect most people, instead of holding their government accountable for allowing a bunch of corporations to gouge the fuck out of people while they sit there and jerk each other off with record profits and then buy back shares to fill the shareholders' pockets.
The C-level executive compensation. Now, critics argue that inflation has become a convenient excuse for these price hikes.
Yes, very convenient excuse.
Yes, labor and ingredient costs are up, but why are executive salaries soaring at the same time? Why are companies increasing ad budgets and launching multi-million-dollar stock buybacks while citing higher costs as the reason for passing price increases onto consumers? Now, in some cases, the numbers suggest these companies are taking advantage of inflationary pressures to pad their profits.
Yep.
In fact, a recent analysis
100%.
from the Economic Policy Institute found that corporate profits accounted for over 40% of price increases across several industries during the pandemic recovery period. Now, while fast food isn't singled out in this analysis, it does seem to fit into this broader trend. This narrative has led to a huge disconnect from corporations to their consumers, particularly around their pricing and the value propositions they offer. But the interesting thing here is some of these companies are faring much better than others. Chipotle, for example, is continuing to grow in spite of their price hikes, and they also historically haven't offered any sort of value meal. While restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, and others are all trying to entice customers by trying to add more value deals to their...
Well, and I'll give you a really easy explanation as to why places like McDonald's and Chipotle are doing better than places like Taco Bell or KFC. It's a little bit easier to sell food at a higher price when the food is a lot better. Like, you gotta give McDonald's and Chipotle at least a benefit of a doubt. Their food has greatly improved since the 90s. Like, it's arguably probably the best fast food, one of the best fast foods out there. That's why it's much easier for them to charge $13, $15 for a fucking hamburger. Whereas you go to places like Taco Bell and KFC, their food is fucking garbage. It's disgusting. It's the most horrific food you could put in your fucking body. Like, of course they can't sell this fucking trash. The only people that go to KFC and Taco Bell over a place like Chipotle are people who are shit-faced drunk or way too high to be making good decisions. Nobody goes to these places sober. It's a bit different when you're selling something that's going to completely destroy my insides versus something like Chipotle, which, let's be honest, the ingredients and the food is a lot better than something like Taco Bell. Not that it makes it right, but that's the basic explanation as to why McDonald's and Chipotle can get away with price hiking better than someplace like Taco Bell. Let's be honest. You really gonna pay $16 for a combo at Taco Bell? Get the fuck out of here. No. Fuck that.
their menus. But of course, fast food chains have their side of the story too. They argued that these price hikes are a necessity, not some evil choice.
Sure.
And their executives have pointed to some real pressures. Rising wages.
And we're supposed to just take them at their word for that while they continue flexing on it, everybody with their record profits. Yeah, okay. Hey, come on, people, wake up. They're lying directly to our fucking faces.
Volatile supply chains, and of course inflation, as reasons why fast food just isn't as cheap as it used to be. Now, back in May of 2024, social media posts about an $18 Big Mac meal went so viral that McDonald's actually had to begin a campaign trying to debunk some of the myths that were being spread about their prices.
Debunk.
Remember this graph from earlier? Yeah, well, McDonald's disagrees with a lot of it.
Oh, of
the
course
nuance
they do.
behind this is that while data on its own is rather objective, the way in which data
Of course they disagree with it, because it makes them look like scammers. Like, of course the company's gonna come out and try to defend itself, because people are uncovering what they're doing. Duh. Because they want to be able to keep doing it. Doesn't make it right.
can be presented often is very subjective, including this video here. However, in their blog post, McDonald's cited bits of information from the article labeling them as myths.
Hold on. I want to read some of those.
Blog post, McDonald's cited bits.
McDonald's raised prices at a rate nearly double the national rate. Well, yeah, that's true. What did they say? False. McDonald's overall 5-year price increase closely connected to the increase to costs. Otherwise, no. Don't believe that for a minute. I'm sure the prices of goods have gone up, but not to that extent. So much that their average menu prices increased more than 3 times. Yeah, like, I'm not gonna read all these. I was just kind of curious as to how they were, like, they're just lying up their ass at this point. The average price, $7.29.27. Yeah, well, you know, you can sit here and you can try to debunk all what people are trying to say and call it a myth all you want. The writing's already on the wall. Everybody can see it. Like, at this point, you're just lying to everybody's fucking face, and you expect people to eat this shit up? Get the fuck out of here.
Bits of information from the article labeling them as myths. Like, quote, McDonald's raised prices at a rate nearly double the national rate of inflation. And over in their facts section, trying to combat this, they mentioned that over the last 5 years, prices have increased around 40% due to higher input costs such as salaries, food, and paper products. And while
What's the minimum wage in America right now? I don't think the minimum wage in America has gone up in like a decade. Average minimum wage in U.S. You gonna fucking sit here and try to tell me 40% increase in price of goods and wages when you're still paying people $7 an hour? Get the fuck out of here. What a bunch of bullshit. Give me a break. What a bunch of just bold-faced lies. $7.25. Oh, we need to charge $20 for a hamburger because I gotta pay some kid who gets $7 an hour to make fucking thousands of them. Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever you say.
While that may be very well true, the article cites McDonald's menu prices have doubled 100% since 2014 across popular items, the highest of any chain we analyzed. But okay, let's just assume McDonald's was confused on this, and they cited from 2019 on as opposed to what the article says, which is 2014. So what about another myth? Well, once again, McDonald's cites the article quoting, McDonald's medium fries have increased by 138% since 2019. But McDonald's...
Yeah, you gonna try to tell me the price of a potato's gone up to 138%? Nah, bitch, get out of here.
Claims the truth is the average price of a medium fry in 2019 was $2.29, and now in 2024, the average price is $3.29. Okay, well, the article actually says that the 138% increase is from 2014 to 2024, not 2019. Now, I could go on, but I think you're starting...
Yeah, and this is what a lot of companies will do, is it's called misdirection, right? They'll try to debunk what you say by just kind of changing up the information a little bit to make it look like you're the crazy person. When in reality, if you actually took 5 seconds to do what this gentleman just did and actually backtrack the information, you can see that McDonald's is actually in the wrong here. And companies and con artists and pieces of shit will always do this kind of stuff when they know they're wrong. What they'll do is they'll try to find some kind of straw man argument and try to make you look like the crazy person in the conversation to completely derail the entire conversation.
Starting to get the point. Okay, but there are some who argue that rising wages are really the one to blame for high menu prices.
Yeah, the $7.25 that you're paying your employees. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Claiming this trend of increased minimum wage could lead to job
Does anybody
losses
believe
and
this? Come
widespread
on.
restaurant closures. However, the evidence suggests otherwise.
Yeah.
Economists at the Economic Policy Institute have extensively researched this issue and found that higher wages would likely have the opposite effect.
So, and a lot of boomers like to have this take where it's like by increasing minimum wage, it's going to affect the economy more. But most of them don't even understand basic economics, and I can see why you would think that increasing minimum wage would cause prices to inflate. But that's just not how economics works. And take it from someone who actually has a degree in business and have taken economics courses. Increasing minimum wage only affects prices by a very small percentage of a factor. It's barely noticeable. Just giving someone a livable wage isn't going to cause this level of inflation. And I don't want to hear people saying, oh, well, blah, 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 and being on the side of these companies. No, you don't understand how economics works. Tired of boomers trying to explain to people that by increasing wages, you're going to fuck the economy up. No, you don't know anything about what you're talking about. Shut the fuck up. And just basic, like the amount that increasing minimum wage affects the global inflation is barely noticeable. But companies like McDonald's are going to play off dumbasses who are going to use that as an excuse, and then now we're doing this thing again where the conversation's being derailed, and now we're talking about something else that's completely irrelevant. I just kind of wanted to point that out there. Minimum wage increases does not fuck up the economy to the extent people think it really does. Anyway.
modestly stimulating consumer demand, boosting business activity, and creating job growth. Okay, but what about fast food prices? Are they rising because of higher wages? Well, yes, but not entirely for the reasons you might think.
No, and like I said, it's a very small percentage in the long run of all the other factors that cause prices to go up.
Price increases in the fast food industry are part of a long-standing trend, not a sudden phenomenon caused by wage hikes. Because while the consumer price index for all items rose by 3.2% between April 2022 and April 2023, fast food prices surged 5.2%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Meanwhile, the cost of groceries increased by only 1%.
And also, if companies are really feeling like a wage increase is going to cause a problem, what they'll do is they'll cut labor costs long before they increase prices.
During that time. But that was then, and this is now, and fast food has been getting desperate over the last year.
And I'm glad he brought up the grocery store thing. Yes, it's happening everywhere. And again, it's another one of these boomer takes that you get a bunch of like middle-class, middle-aged people that are like, oh, well, we'll stop going to Starbucks and buying coffees there, or going to McDonald's every second day or whatever and spending money there. Nah, bitch, the prices are going up in the grocery store too. Like, I could do a video on it one of these days where I go and buy a package of hamburgers at which are going to be a lesser quality, and then buy the other ingredients it would take to actually physically make like a double quarter pounder meal, and the price of difference really wouldn't be that far off. Not as much as it used to be.
McDonald's has had to really try to entice customers with their nationwide $5 value meal, and many competitors have followed suit. Burger King offered their $5 meal, Wendy's did a $4 meal deal, and Taco Bell launched a $3 value deal.
Yeah, and the fact that these companies can actually do this while still posting record profits is proof enough that they can charge these prices and be fine.
All in an attempt to increase traffic to their stores. Now, it's clear they have a real problem on their hands, not only in terms of general sentiment around their value propositions, but also in regards to pricing. But fast food companies also have to reckon with fast casual offerings eating away at their market share. Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen have all reported a much different outlook on this matter. And while yes, they typically attract a higher income cohort, it's not only them that are buying these products. Cava, the Mediterranean chain, only raised prices 12% from 2019 to 2023. And as a result, they reported increases to their top and bottom lines. Now, of course, they have a much smaller footprint than McDonald's, but when that Big Mac is contesting the prices of some of these fast casual offerings, it seems like an inevitable shift is bound to occur here. And even casual sit-down restaurants like Applebee's and Chili's are getting involved into this value war. Chili's 3 for Me meal deal for $10.99 has created a resurgence in traffic to their restaurants, resulting in their foot traffic soaring 33%, which capped off 6 straight months of increases. So,
the fuck is a Chili's? Like Chili's restaurant? Oh, okay. A lot of these have been going out of business in Edmonton here. Anyway, I've never been to one.
Just the cost of doing business? I don't see how one could come to that conclusion with how much profits have increased over the last 5 years for most of these chains. To me, this does seem like some good old-fashioned corporate greed, masked in layers of manipulation and excuses.
That's exactly
and now
what
for
it is.
fast food places like McDonald's, Burger King, and others, customers not only have to battle with higher prices, but also with the lack of convenience and quality of the food itself. Because at the end of the day, when all is said and done, infinite growth is the goal. And the fiduciary duty to shareholders comes before customers, employees, suppliers, or vendors. But it is really interesting to see how some companies simply choose to operate differently while still achieving success. If you want to learn about a prime example, I covered the story of Costco and the interesting approach they've taken to capitalism. You can learn about it here. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks so much for the video. That was really good. Oopsies.
There's been
So, this guy made a lot of really good points. And I agree with pretty much all of them. You can't tell me that... Like, I know a lot of people aren't really that great with statistics and mathematics, but a simple understanding of, oh, well, we're suffering, but we're also not suffering by posting record profits it's just a bold-faced lie. And what I think these companies have done is they've been slowly increasing prices to a point where they could find out the perfect price point where it's the maximum amount of profit but also maximum amount of sales. It has nothing to do with inflation or any of these things that they claim it to be. They want to charge the most amount of money possible for the products while making sure that just enough people can afford it. And now that's why they're starting to roll these prices back, is because they've actually reached what I would consider a peak price. Anymore, like as soon as you start seeing 20s, I think that's when a lot of consumers are going to start passing. $18 is probably the limit any normal person is willing to pay for a hamburger meal at a fast food restaurant, or any meal at a fast food restaurant. It doesn't have anything to do with how much it costs to produce it. I think what they've done is they've been pushing the limits as much as they can, and they have found that medium point, and they're claiming that it's inflation. It's bullshit. I think more people need to start talking about this. And I was going to show, like, if I go to, I'm going to go to images here. Like, the prices of food at grocery stores are just as bad. $27 for 4 chicken breasts. That is not normal. You can't tell me you're going to sit here and charge almost, like... One thing at the grocery store is almost bringing you to $100. Like, this is a net problem for everybody, and I'm glad this person was talking about it. He's got way more subscribers than me, so more people are gonna see it. But if this is something you care about, I would suggest talking about it. The more people that talk about these things, the more people that are actually going to try to convince their government to do something about it. Because I guarantee you what's happening is a lot of these companies are paying the government off, and a lot of people are too distracted with other bullshit to tell the government to enforce the laws that they should be enforcing. People are quiet on these issues because they're more worried about whatever identity politics or some other mundane problem that these companies have probably been using as a distraction tactic to keep doing what they're doing in the shadows, while also paying off government officials to not enforce the laws. The only way anything can ever be done about this is if people pay attention to it enough, people actually start talking about it, because the government's going to be like, uh-oh, okay, maybe we do need to actually start doing our fucking jobs. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.